Hi everyone, I'm Emma. I'm a final year PhD at the University of Manchester in the UK. I work with Ben Stafford and Lena Levin on searching for radio pulsars in the Small Magellanic Cloud with the MeerKAT telescope. So I just want to say thank you to the Institute for having us visit and also allowing us to talk today. So the background of my first slide might be a little bit dark for you to see, but it's a screenshot from the Stellarium software. It's the night sky as seen from the side of the MeerKAT telescope, and all the pink crosses are known pulsars. So most of them, as you can see, are along the galactic plane. And then you have two small groups here, which are the large and small Magellanic clouds, which are small galaxies that are satellites of the Milky Way. Okay. So this work is done as part of TRAPPM. TRAPPM is a MeerKAT large survey project. So the principal investigators are Michael Kramer and Ben Stafford, and the project scientist is Ewan Barr. So we have been doing pulsar and transient searches in different parts of the sky. So Colin has just presented the Fermi gamma ray sources searches by TRAPPM. Ollie will be giving a talk after the break also on this. There are galactic plane searches, like Michael mentioned earlier. The talk right after me will be by James on supernova remnant searches. There are also globular cluster pulsar searches. So there's a talk by Prajwal and also Aranima, I think today. I will be talking about searches outside our galaxy. And we also have a follow-up group, which is chaired by Marta Begay, which takes care of following up all our discoveries. And there will be a talk later today about the gravitational wave follow-up of these pulsars. Okay, so very quickly, because I think there will be quite a lot of overlap between talks on this telescope. So this is the MeerKAT telescope, which we're using for this project. It's an interferometer in South Africa. It's got 64 dishes, 3 radio receivers, and a pulsar timing and a searching bracket. Kind of data that we're using here is time domain radio data, so very high resolution time series in radio. So why do we want to search for extragalactic pulsars? Well, first of all, they are quite rare. So of 3,000 pulsars that have been discovered, only 31 are extragalactic. They are all in the Magellanic clouds, which you can see on this picture here, so the large and the small here. And they all have been discovered, in radio anyway, by the Murray Parkes Radio Telescope in Australia, as they are visible from the southern hemisphere only. So now we have a new observatory in the southern hemisphere, which is MeerKAT, so we have more pulsars to find in these galaxies. The other reason why we are searching for these is because this population of neutron stars is in a different environment to the Milky Way. We have a nice contrast to look at on how the galactic properties will impact this population and will impact the pathway to the neutron star, their formation, etc. There are other things that we can do, different fields of science, like, for example, if we find double neutron stars, we can compare with the extragalactic neutron star merger rates from gravitational wave science groups. Also, we do transient searches, and we know now that fast radio bursts are linked to neutron stars. And there is one repeating fast radio burst in a similar galaxy to the Magellanic clouds, so there is potential there. So now I'm going to give you a little bit more detail about the Small Magellanic Cloud in particular. So it's this here irregular dwarf galaxy, pretty close by. As you've seen, it's unobstructed by the galactic plane, so we don't have too much material between us and this galaxy. Also, it has got a much lower metallicity than our own galaxy. That means it will form more high mass stars. This is visible in the fact that this galaxy has quite a high density of high mass X-ray binaries compared to the density in the Milky Way. On top of that, it gets even more interesting because it has had a recent wave of star formation compared to the Milky Way. So its pulsar population is expected to be younger, and you can get exotic objects compared to the Milky Way. So far, there are 7 published radio pulsars in this galaxy, all found by the Parkes telescope from Ariane. One magnetar, so again here we have the link with fast radio bursts, and one young X-ray pulsar in a pulsar wind nebula. There was a prediction from population synthesis to find with this survey 10 additional radio pulsars with MeerKAT if we were to scatter the entire galaxy. So I'll get on to our observations now. So as I've just mentioned, there has been a recent wave of star formation in this galaxy, so there's a lot of supernova remnants. So they are here, they are the red circles and ellipses. There's also a couple of pulsar wind nebulae, this one's hidden, as green boxes. So our observations go like this. When we add up all the signal from all the dishes together, we get an incoherent beam, which is one of these. So it's a wild field of view, but it's not very sensitive. And each time you have an incoherent beam here, you have a different observation. Then we use FBFUs, which is the beamformer for TRAPPIST, which has been created here, as Michael mentioned earlier, to form small areas of coherence on the sky, which are these tiny little ellipses that you can see all over, by varying the delays between the dishes. And you can form these around the center of the pointing and away from it as well. So you have quite a lot of freedom on where to place your beams. You are limited by your data rate recording, so that you can't have an infinite number of beams. So in our case here, we have 800 beams or so per observation. And as you can see, we've targeted a lot of different supernova remnants here, and also a nebula here, and another field here for this pointing in particular. In comparison, the Parkes telescope, I've plotted one of its beam size on this plot. It has 13 of these beams, and so it can cover quite a lot of area. We have less area covered per each observation, but as I said, we have a lot more freedom of placement, and also, as Colin mentioned, you can really pinpoint where your pulsar discoveries are coming from because of the size of the coherences. Okay. So now I'll go over this quickly because James will talk about the processing for TRAPPIST. But basically the data is processed in a computing cluster underground on site. For this survey, we do a regular pulsar search, but we also do acceleration searching to find binaries. The data is very high resolution, so it takes about a month of processing before we see the candidates. And then the raw data is deleted. Can't keep it. We do keep, though, a reduced resolution version for potential future reprocessing. So yeah, this is the site, and this is the computer cluster. So here are discoveries. So this is a radio image of the Magellanic cloud from ASCAP. And I've plotted the yellow boxes are our 7 radio pulsar discoveries, and the orange boxes are the previously known pulsars. So we have found the first young pulsars in the Magellanic cloud. So 3 of our discoveries are under 100,000 years old. So our highlights is that 2 of our young pulsars have glitched, and they've had a large velo-like glitch, so that's really interesting. One of the pulsars is in a pulsar wind nebula in a supernova remnant, so it's this one here. There's another one that is unassociated much further back, but very close by. Upon discovery, we were able to localize them very quickly to just a few arc seconds using a multi-beam localizer called MeerKAT. Also, we can, thanks to this nice, precise localization, we could quickly solve the equation of rotation of the pulsar by doing timing observations with MeerKAT and Marianne. And so we quickly had timing solutions for all of these new pulsars. We had a paper last year on the non-detection of a radio pulsar in this pulsar wind nebula and supernova remnant that has an X-ray pulsar, and I spoke about it at the previous workshop. So these are our pulse profiles for all of them. And yeah, so in conclusion, This survey so far has doubled the population of the small Magellanic Cloud. The number so far is as expected. We have not scanned the entire cloud, of course, and we have a very large proportion of young objects as expected and a high rate of glitches. The prediction that we have could be a pessimistic one. We will see with reprocessing and maybe a survey at a different frequency. This survey, which is our L-band, is nearly finished, and we are now searching our last pointing, which is a globular cluster in the small Magellanic Cloud. There are other surveys of nearby galaxies being done by our working group, such as the Large Magellanic Cloud survey, which has just started and is already so successful, and other small galaxies nearby. So yeah, thanks for listening, and let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions for Emma?
Yes. Emma, when you say number of pulses is covered in SNC as expected, does this mean expected given the sensitivity of the current days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was a population synthesis done, and they said we think there are this many pulsars, and with the sensitivity of this survey, which is L-band 2 hours, you should be able to see 10 more.
Yes, even though the sample is too small for the radio files, have you looked for a statistical correlation between the star formation history of a certain region and the radio files that that region has? You have a plot that can show like a peak or something like you mentioned that FMC has a recent star formation. Is there a plot or something that shows precise for a region that has like 2 or 3 radio pulses that it is likely to have those radio pulses because it has a specific star formation rate?
Well, we're still at the survey stage, so we're waiting until we have all our discoveries, which will be very soon. And then we will have a population paper that will take into account, star formation, depth of the galaxy in certain directions, the expected density of stars in each direction, stuff like that, to try and compare our discoveries to the current models on the small Magellanic.
I have a couple of comments. So, given the spectrum of pulsars and the fact that the UHF beam would be a bit wider, you should be able to get more pulsars in UHF if you do the same survey of this cluster.
Yes, but there are some dispersion issues.
What are the dispersions are like? These are slow pulsars, so we should be able to. Shouldn't be a big deal.
But a UHF survey is an idea that we want to do next after this album. For that reason.
And the related thing is about the LMC, so the large cloud. How many pulsars do you expect to find?
Can't remember what the prediction is, but we've only done 3 pointings and we've only got 7 by bidding by language.
I would really suggest doing that at UHF first.
Yeah.
It's perhaps my.
Well, maybe the next nearby galaxy. There was also some issues with processing because of the number of the files.
Yeah, it's higher.
We have done some UHF benchmarks on how long it would take us to process, which is already very long, but recently they've changed the processing plan, so maybe something we should consider again.